Hello and welcome to a quick review of the early access version of Junkpunk by SCT, both developed and published. So Junkpunk is basically Wall-E meets Satisfactory. So if you played a other one of these conveyor belt games, a lot of this stuff will be very familiar to you. And let's just jump into it. So this is the early access version launch. So obviously there's gonna be still some issues, missing features and so on, as is the case with the early access. We played this actually yesterday on my stream, and there's a multiplayer of 5 people maximum currently, and we actually played through the current content with the 5 people, and it worked really well. The multiplayer was pretty solid, and we had only a few minor issues, like nothing really show-stopping. That was actually a really nice experience, so can definitely recommend this for a small group of friends to play with. Alright, let's just jump in. I'll show you a little of the beginning of the game, and then I explain a little more of the what's currently in the early access and what's planned in the future as well. So as it is in early access, it does not have the full content obviously yet in the game. It does have basically the first part of the terraforming roadmap, which is the atmospheric stabilization, and then there's gonna be like ocean filtration, landmass restoration, and biological rejuvenation as you make the planet habitable for biological life forms. But currently we only have the first part, so let's just initialize our robot and let's get going. So we're playing as a robot who basically is tasked on making this planet habitable. So there's us getting initialized, camera arrays are initializing motor hierarchies and so on. So as you start the game, you need to repair things and get some material, and there's these notifications over here, which basically explains you how to play the game. It gives you a little bit of lore and all the things, what the commands are and so on. So we're just gonna run out of the crash ship, and we're in this we're in a pile of junk basically. it's Junkpunk, so we're in a pile of junk. All right, so you have a mining laser that you can use to scrap some of this junk, and it gives you basic materials basically. So we'll just quickly grab some of the things. There's different kinds of piles of junk. So this is a scrap junk, and it gives you like a metal and steel scrap, and it also gives you sometimes like these basically pre-made parts, as there's all kinds of junk all over the place. And you'll find as you go around, like there's a little rubber pile here, so you get tons of rubber tires that you can get some rubber scrap from. There's electronics, there's rare metal, junk, and so on. And like you find basically these loose piles of garbage that you can use. And the next thing the game tells us to do is basically introduce us to the building mechanic of the game. So I'm gonna run a little bit ahead and build over here. So there's some ships flying in the sky, some menacing-looking towers, and so on. Let's go like here is probably good. We don't need a lot of space. Actually, maybe have a little flatter. Let's go next to those whatever those things are. So you run with WSD mouse controls, point your laser to mine things. You also have a repair laser, which you can use if you break your things, which we accidentally did a lot of times. And you press tab, you find your building tools here. We're gonna slap a... Actually, let's do those, just a small foundation, a couple of them here. So this is how you build basically in the game. It's very familiar if you've played a lot of other like survival builder type of games. You can rotate things around and so on. And then with the crafting bench, you can craft a bunch of new materials. You can turn metal scrap into steel scrap and copper scrap. And basically you sort through the trash to find the more interesting things. And there's also seeds and basic like power cables and pipes and things you can crafting here. A lot of the crafting will be happening here. But yeah, let's continue doing the next step of the tutorial part, basically. So it tells us to place a few more foundations, a few pillars and walls and things. We might have to grab a little bit more metal as well as we do this. There we go. And then we're gonna some walls. Doesn't really matter at this point, but yeah, it's very familiar building system. It also sometimes it's a little annoying to place things. There is also a snapping mode. If you press X, thing actually snaps nicely, which makes the building a little easier. Let's put our torch on. So we have a light on our head as well. So if when it gets dark, there is a whole night and day pattern which affects like solar panels, and there's a wind speed and there's weather. You get like these dust storms, which gives you a massive amount of power from the wind, but sometimes the wind might be also out, which then obviously you are running out of power. But you can also make batteries and all the usual jazz, how to sort your power. And let's make a door. There we go. We have a fancy door now. Let's finish the walls as well. It'll look nicer. There we go. And maybe we'll put a small step so we can actually get in. Oh no, I'm out of material. Let's grab that a little bit of scrap more so we can actually finish this. But yeah, the building system is very I mean, it's very functional. It's very basic to this type of games. Like Satisfactory, Rust, all the similar games with similar building system, Conan Exile, everything it's very similar to all of those. In a good way, obviously. And we'll just put a pillar. There's our pillar, and then a little bit of roof, I guess. Just snap that in. I think I can't actually put it on the crafting bench because it needs to be taller, but oh well. There we go. And we need a small container. We'll slap a container in there for storage, obviously. Also, if you notice, a bunch of these things are here that you can already build them. These are like very basic building materials. Then you have all your recharge station because you have health and power that you need to actually fill. You got machines, so you got industrial lasers, which is actually a laser that you place down, and it just bzzz on the scrap and actually collects your scrap. Then this has an exit for a conveyor belt that you can then put on a conveyor belt to put it in a chest or put it into your shredders and fabricators and smelters to process the materials. Here's the actual scrap belt, and then belt merges and splitters and everything. And there's also power cables and water pipes that you need to do for the farming, for example. You need to get some water. And then for power, you have wind from scrap. Then you have a better wind generator. You have batteries, power merges, splitters, scrap solar panels, and so on. And then you have water pumps and so those. And record player, you can also play some records that you can find. So there is this whole like exploration part of the game as well, where you can go around and you can actually find hats and paints and records. The records are actually kind of funky. They when you play a record on a multiplayer, it plays for the whole server basically, and it's kind of fun to jam some tunes with your friends. Also, you may have noticed that there is a storm right now. You can see actually the weather progress over here, and you can see that there is the wind speed and local time and how much solar you're getting and dust storm and so on. So the next step for us is to actually go to the monolith, which we can't really see. It's actually really easy to lose your bearings in this storm. I did that several times. Even though you have the compass on the top and then you have the map on the bottom left, you can also see the whole map here. And a lot of this map is actually centered around in this area. Currently in this version, there is all of this area on the edges, and here you can actually go run around in there. And there's these other towers, but they don't seem to do anything in this version, as it's not I mean, full game yet. It is an early access, so it only contains basically the first part of the terraforming progress, and with that also, like you have these scrap solar powers and scrap wind generators, and then you can already see that there is a scrap version and then there's a better version. So I imagine in the as the game progresses in the early access, they're gonna also add a lot more steps for the terraforming, but also adding like better versions of the solar panels. That's not just made from scrap, but it's actually made from better materials. And some of these things are actually pretty bad in the current version. I mean, they work, but like this, for example, the conveyor belts and the mergers and the splitters are very, very, very slow. And some of the ratios, if you played like Factorio, you know how you wanna feed a certain amount in the belt and you merge and split and so on, and those ratios are a little weird. Like it feels like the mergers and splitters actually make it slower, so it's better to just feed it with one belt, which is also very slow already. But I imagine there's gonna be basically more better versions as the game progresses. That's not just a scrap belt, and they've served their function for this version of the game. Basically, this early access version, you don't really need a massive amount of materials to reach the first step. There's quite a decent amount of stuff needed. We finished that content in about 6-7 hours with 5 players. Well, more like 4 players, but obviously that multiplies the manpower available to do things quite a lot. And if you're playing in a single player, obviously it's gonna take a little longer for you to finish all the content. Also, we didn't fully explore everything. We know there's more hats, for example, than we found. We only found 2 of the hats, and I think there is 11 at least different hats, which don't obviously do anything other than give you a hat for a robot, and then you can put a color for a robot as well. But still, there is things to explore, and I hope they add more like key landmarks and key points to explore, and maybe find an Easter egg or 2 in there as well. So this is a monolith, and this is a part of the story, so I'm not gonna go in there. But I will explain a little of it. So this is basically how you progress your first, like that first portion of the terraforming progress. So inside there is store and voice acting a little bit, and there's 2 delivery things in there. There's biological and a technological component, basically. So basically you need machines to make certain things, and then you need farming to make certain things to stabilize the atmosphere, which actually turns the sky blue and actually makes your solar power work better, as it's not full of crap. And it's actually kind of cool. It was actually really nice to see how the planet turned different as you finished the process. And I'm looking forward in the further steps, like getting it says the ocean filtration and getting the landmass restoration and biological rejuvenation. So currently water actually kills you if you run into water, and it would be cool to get the oceans a little bluer. They kind of look like black sludge at the moment, so not very healthy water. And then like landmass restoration, where you get vegetation growing everywhere, and then finally getting the biological life forms as the final step of the terraforming. So it's gonna be really cool seeing all of those steps as the game progresses. But yeah, this is basically where you do the first step, and it actually has the. This is me just thinking, but there's like 0-1, and you can see that there's another one over there. There's actually another one behind that mountain over there, and there's one over that way. And there's actually a couple over in the ocean over that way as well. So I'm thinking this is the first step. Well, it's 0-1, and then these other ones will probably be the next steps as you progress through. Especially the water ones are probably for the ocean filtration and so on. But yeah, that's basically Junkpunk. It's actually really nice. It's basically reverse, like a Satisfactory or a Factorio. Someone messed up the planet, and you are here to clean it up slowly with your lasers and things. And it pretty much delivers on all of those same things that the similar games also do. But obviously, it's very early in the early access. Like this is actually the day before the early access is launching, so expect to see a lot of fixes to a lot of the small things that we encountered, but nothing was actually really too bad, and also further content as the game progresses. But I can highly recommend it as is Just keep in mind that it doesn't have super much content currently. I mean, if you're playing solo, depending on your speed and progress obviously and how much like fun for building you are gonna encounter, you're probably gonna look at least like 10-15 hours currently, depending how quickly you're going. Less if you're really task focused, but also if you do exploration and so on, you're probably gonna get a little more out of it. But yeah, this is Junkpunk by Junkpunk by SCT, and yeah, check it out. It's soon available in early access on Steam, and we'll see how it progresses in the early access. So if you like this review, check out the other reviews, let's plays, and everything on the YouTube channel, and check out the live stream on twitch.tv/Bellaner, where we play lots of building management, strategy games, and a little bit of everything now and then. Especially if there's some cool new releases every day around 6 p.m. Central European time onwards. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. So have fun.